Hello students, the topic for today's class is biochemical defense mechanism in plants. In the last two classes we have studied about the structural defense mechanism in plants, where we have discussed about pre-existing structural defense mechanism as well as induced structural defense mechanism. So today we shall discuss about biochemical defense mechanism. Now what is biochemical defense mechanism? Biochemical defense mechanism is the one where the plant or the host, it produces some chemicals which act as a barrier against the pathogens. So these are also found in two different forms as pre-existing biochemical defense mechanism and post-infectional or induced biochemical defense mechanism. So let us discuss about pre-existing defense mechanism. So in pre-existing biochemical defense mechanism, very commonly there are two different types as the inhibitors present in the host plant as well as some of the phenolic compounds present in the host plant. Now what exactly inhibitors does? Inhibitors are divided into two types based on their nature, where some of the inhibitors are released into the environment, wherein some of them are present inside the cells itself. Okay. So phenolic compounds, then enzymes, etc., which are already present in the plant are also responsible to act as a barrier against the infection of pathogens. Now let us study one by one the pre-existing biochemical defense mechanism. Now in the last class we have studied about the structural defense mechanisms, where in structural defense mechanisms we have discussed about different structures. Now only these particular structures doesn't help the plant to get rid of the disease. Along with the structural defense mechanisms, the plant also produces the chemicals, and these chemicals together it will start fighting against the pathogens. Now what exactly happens? So these particular chemicals are released into the environment. So inhibitor, why it is called as inhibitors? Because they will inhibit the growth of the pathogen. Now the plant produces such particular chemicals, it will release into its surroundings. It might be the aerial above ground level or it might be in the roots, in the soil. Okay. Now they release into the environment. Now what happens when these particular compounds are released into the environment? So naturally these particular inhibitory substances affect the growth of microorganisms present surrounding the plant. It might be above the ground part. So many organisms will be present surrounding the leaf, stem, etc., as well as in the soil. Surrounding the root there will be plenty of microorganisms. So they directly inhibit the growth of such particular microorganisms. Okay. Other than this, they may produce some of the compounds which makes the other group of microorganisms to dominate the environment. When the other group of microorganisms dominate the environment, this will start fighting against the pathogen. It means to say that it will create an antagonistic effect, so that the pathogens will be removed from the surrounding, because these particular organisms which are produced because of the inhibitors will be dominant in the surrounding. So moving on with the examples. Root exudates of marigold contain a chemical alpha tertinyl which will inhibit the growth of nematodes. We can also see some other examples where the resistant varieties of chickpea against Ascochyta blight is because of the presence of a chemical called as malic acid in them. Okay. Now one more example what you can see it is the red scales of onion, the outermost coverings usually of the onion, red onion, contain some of the chemicals like protocatachoic acid and catechol, which will inhibit the growth of fungi. Okay, you can see this particular picture where this particular red scale onion which produces the chemical catechol will be a resistant one against the fungi causing onion smudge, whereas the white one will be susceptible to the disease. So next moving on with the inhibitors present in the plant cell before infection. Now, what are these particular things? These are the chemicals which are already present in the plant before the infection itself. It might be the phenolic compounds very commonly. So, naturally these particular phenolic compounds may give some flavor to the plants. It might be the leaves, some of the plant leaves, it smells very good. It is nothing but because of some of the chemical compounds produced by the plants. Okay. So, all these particular chemicals will act as a barrier against the pathogen. Moving on with the examples, tannins and some fatty acid like compounds, okay, commonly present in high concentration in the cells of young fruits, leaves or seeds. So, these act as a barriers. Now, how they act as a barriers? They act as a barriers by inhibiting the production of many hydrolytic enzymes by the pathogen. When this production of hydrolytic enzymes are inhibited, naturally the fungi cannot process. Okay. So, moving on with some examples, chlorogenic acid which is present in potato plant, it inhibits the common scab bacteria Streptomyces scabis and the wilt pathogen Verticillium alboterum. So, moving on with one more phenolic compound, that is a saponins. So, this saponin naturally acts against the membrane of the fungi. So, it acts on, it has a membranolytic property of the fungi. So, moving on with the example, the presence of a chemical by name tomatin in tomato, in the same way the presence of a chemical avanacin in oats are responsible for lysis of fungal cell wall. So, moving on with some of the proteins, okay. These proteins are nothing but lectins which commonly bind to the sugar and are present in large concentration in seeds as well as in fruits. This also responsible for the lysis of the fungi, or in the other words to put it as, growth inhibition of many fungi is due to the presence of lectins. So, next moving on with some enzymes, that is hydrolytic enzymes. Why we call it as hydrolytic enzymes? Naturally it brings about the breakdown of cell wall. Okay. For example, gluconases and chitinases enzymes, if it is present in the host plant, naturally it will break down the cell wall of the fungi so that the fungi cannot survive and enter into the host. So, next moving on with induced chemical defense. So, the previous things whatever we have studied about the phenolic compounds it might be, or the inhibitors it might be, these are the one already existing, pre-existing in the plant before the infection. So, next what we will be discussing is the induced chemical defense mechanism. Now, why we call it as induced? Because these are produced only after the infection of the fungi. Now, what are the different induced biochemical defense mechanism? They are, the different types of induced biochemical defenses are hypersensitivity response, production of phytoalexins, or it might be the plantibodies. So, moving on with the first one, phytoalexins. So, what are phytoalexins? Phytoalexins are first coined by Muller and Borger in the year 1940. So, these are the toxic antimicrobial substances. So, these phytoalexins, in simple terms to say that phyton stands for plant and alexin to ward off or to get rid of. Okay. So, moving on with the characteristics of phytoalexins. So, before we take an examples of phytoalexins, we will see that why these phytoalexins it has a major role in plant defense. Okay. So, what are the characteristics of phytoalexins? So, phytoalexins are fungitoxic and bacteriostatic. What is fungitoxic? Toxic against the fungi. What is bacteriostatic? It stagnates the growth of the bacteria when it is present in very low concentration. Okay. Phytoalexins are produced in host plant in response to the injury or infection. It might be during the process of injury or it might be the infection. So, there should be something, a signal or a process for these phytoalexins to produce. Okay. Naturally, phytoalexins are absent in healthy plants and very commonly these phytoalexins are produced near to the site of infection. The phytoalexins have a particular property that they are host specific rather than pathogen specific. What it means? The particular host produces a particular type of phytoalexin. It is not based on what fungi comes and attacks. Okay. Whatever the infection may be, the plant produces its own phytoalexin. So, it is called as host specific rather than pathogen specific. It is produced in quantities proportionate to the size of inoculant. If more fungi has come and lodged, it has started infecting, then the amount of phytoalexins produced is also more, and within 12 to 14 hours after infection, and it reaches to the maximum within 24 hours. Okay. These are some of the examples for phytoalexins which are produced in different host plants and against a particular pathogens. Okay. So, pathogen may vary, but the phytoalexin whatever that is produced by the host plant will remain the same. That is why it is called as host specific. So, these are some of the examples for phytoalexins. So, next moving on with hypersensitive response. Now, what is hypersensitive response? So, hypersensitive response is a localized induced cell death. So, it might be the cell death wherever the infection occurs, surrounding that the cell starts dying. It is a response produced by the host for attacking the pathogen. How it works? It starts killing the cells surrounding the infection. How? They will start producing the hypersensitivity reactions in the cells. This word hypersensitivity response was first used by Stackman in the year 1915 when he observed the rust fungi of weeds which is caused by Puccinia graminis. So, this hypersensitivity response, it does not occur in all the plants, it occurs only in incompatible host pathogen combination. Now, what is incompatible host pathogen combination? So, incompatible host pathogen combination is the one where the pathogen and the host cannot coexist. Only in such cases hypersensitivity reaction will be seen. If ever the host and the pathogen has some relationship and can exist together, in such cases hypersensitivity response will not be seen. Hypersensitivity response is naturally initiated when the pathogen produces some signal molecules known as elicitators. So, you can see the image there. The plant produces some of the hypersensitivity responses, and you can see the dead cells that is present because of the hypersensitivity response or the reaction. You can see a part of the leaf, it becomes dead. Okay. So, this is a species of Solanum and this is the species Nicotiana. Next, moving on with plantibodies. Now, what are plantibodies? It is an antibody produced by genetically modified plants. Plantibodies are commonly seen only in genetically modified plants. Now, how they are genetically modified? They are modified by transforming them with the antibodies from the animals. Okay. So, very commonly these plantibodies are seen in transgenic plants which incorporate their genome to express foreign genes. Example, in Nicotiana plant, the genes are introduced into the plant which can start fighting against the virus artichoke mottled crinkle virus, which has been imported from the animals to this particular plants. So, moving on with the entire concept of defense mechanism, it might be a structural defense mechanism, it might be a chemical defense mechanism. Moving on with the overall concept, disease is because of host and pathogen interaction. It is not one side. It has to have both the sides side by side, the pathogen and the host, it should be side by side, and the disease development, it naturally depends on successful host parasite interaction or the host pathogen interaction. If the host and the pathogen interaction is successful, then the disease will be developed there. So, in such cases, this defense mechanism, it plays an important role. Now, how exactly the different types of chemical and structural defense mechanism, whatever we have studied in the last 2 classes and in the today's sessions, it provides a detailed account on the production of various chemicals as well as the structures which act as a defense against these particular pathogens which causes a disease. And the defense mechanism will not work when compatible reaction occurs between host and the pathogen. Now, what is compatible? If ever the host and the pathogen can coexist in the environment, then in such cases the defense mechanism will not work. Only in such cases we can see the plant has got a disease. So, I hope you have understood the entire topic defense mechanism which have been studied from the last 2 or 3 sessions, and I complete the session. Thank you.